When did you decide to be straight? You didn't, right? Same thing with me. I didn't decide to be trans. I was just trans. People think that the world is more accepting, but in some ways it isn't. I didn't know anybody in my life that was willing to accept my flaws. At the time, they were flaws. Now they're my power. They're who I am. They make me Jayson. I was put up for adoption at 3 years old in Fall River. And then at 5, I was adopted by a family in Fall River. There was times where I would go shopping with my mom and we would get like a clothes for an event, like a Easter or something like that, or Christmas. And I had 4 other sisters growing up, so they were pretty much girly. And I went straight for, like, right past the girls section, right to the men's, like, boys section. And Macy's, I remember this vividly, I was about 10. And I didn't even think twice about going there. I didn't even look, I didn't even stop and look at the girl stuff. I didn't even have a one-track mind, and that was always what I was acting like. I never even encountered the girl section. My brain was always at the boys or men's section, in fashion, in toys, in the way I expressed myself in school. And I never thought for a while that I wasn't any different. I didn't think that it wasn't okay for me to not dress like a guy when I was a little girl. Up until I think I hit high school is when I started to feel like there's something wrong, when puberty hit. Because now you have to get pap smears, you gotta get birth control, you gotta get all the things. I remember fighting my mom to go on doctor's appointments because I did not understand why I had to do that. And I think a lot of people thought in my life that I was like either a masked lesbian. At that time, didn't know I was trans. They didn't know the name, they didn't know there was an option to do what I'm doing right now, to live the life I'm living. So I thought I was just a lesbian. But then it was like, after I got older, and I started dating girls, and it still didn't feel right. It didn't feel like, this isn't it. It doesn't match. And then one day, I was talking to a child psychologist at one of my programs, and she had worked with trans youth, and she's like, you know, all these things about your history and your childhood and how you feel about yourself describes to me as something called trans male. What is that? And so she gave me a bunch of packets on transgender people and options as far as relieving my dysphoria with hormones and the options of surgeries. That's when it kind of came that, oh my God, the realization was like, there's something that I can relate to now. There's something that explains to me what my life has been like and what my inner feelings have been. And at that point in that little office with this person that just met me doing a psychiatric evaluation on me through a program helped my life so much. All the weird feelings not fitting in, those pieces came together so perfectly. Yeah, there was moments where I really thought that I was gonna not be here, sitting right here, you know? There was times where I felt like there was not gonna be any access for me. A place for me in the field, employment, or my life, personal life, family. I didn't think I could have access to having children. I didn't think I would be able to be married to somebody. But there's always a way around things. My procedure I'm having is a total hysterectomy. So that's when you need to take everything out. Like, and all the sex organs you have as females, reproductive organs. So the ovaries will come out, the cervix, fallopian tubes, uterus will come out. And that is the first stage on a trans male bottom surgery. There's many stages of this surgery. It's not like one surgery, you fix everything. When people do surgery like this, that might just be enough for them. Transgender journeys are all different, and you don't have to get surgery or be on hormones to be equal in this community. As long as you're doing what even just changing your name and gender marker could be enough for somebody. You can tailor this journey to anything you feel comfortable doing, which I love to do because I don't feel less than if I'm not getting full surgery.
Fact, the majority of transgender individuals are not interested in surgical interventions. And for those who are looking for surgical interventions, it can be a very complicated process. You just don't go into the doctor's office and say, hey, I want you to remove my uterus. It's much more complicated than that. Gender dysphoria is when the gender that has been assigned at birth does not feel correct or accurate. And individuals can experience this in a lot of different ways. A lot of times they're very clear. In Jayson's case, I just never felt like a girl. So for example, with somebody like Jayson, he had to get 2 clinical opinions saying that that was in his best interest. Statistically, 4% of the population have some kind of intersex, or they're not 100% aligned with one gender or another. If you think about how does a doctor determine the gender of an infant, and what they're looking at is only the exterior genitalia of an infant. But gender is comprised of so much more than just exterior genitalia. A number of politicians have focused on, especially transgender youth. They clearly have absolutely no concern for the well-being of these youth. It's very concerning, I think, for a whole lot of different reasons, as to what will happen if some of these individuals, like Trump and DeSantis, who are willing to hurt or harm minority members of the population if they get elected.
Trump's running again. DeSantis is running again. He's done in Florida, and they're both running. So it's like, I may have to retransition based on their law. I may have to change my birth certificate back to what it was. So yeah, the next 2 years for me is like holding my breath, and it's a sucky place to be. But I know it's worth fighting for. There's people that I love in this community and that are my family, and I would do anything for them. It's like you would protect your kid, I would protect my family. No matter what it took. So I'm never gonna give up, but it does get hard. It does get hard on you. And these allies, we need allies to take on the burden of this, because no one person can take it all. That's what allyship means, is that you take on the role when we can no longer do it. And you'll be our voices when we no longer have any.
I'm profoundly aware that most of you who are here tonight are not members of the transgender community. You're here as allies. And I want to say thank you for coming and for doing that, because we need you. We need to be
I had to go
together.
find my definition of who I was, because it wasn't available to me. It's a life that you make based on how you want to feel inside. There might be a lot of people out there that are in the closet or are young and that are questioning themselves, or they don't think they can have a life that's worth living or be happy. And I'm telling you that the life is so much worth living if you can just hold on and wait until you're old enough to find who you are. And there's always resources out there. It's okay to be scared in some things, but when you push through and you say, no, I'm not going to sacrifice myself, there's definitely some power in risk.